Hi everyone, my name is Tim and welcome to Online Video, the newest web show on the internet.
Peace on earth through piece of ass, brother.
Today, I have had my Tesla Model 3 for 6 years. 6 years it's been my only car. And after 6 years, it is still doing really well for me. So we'll talk about it for a few minutes today. Well, here we are now in my Tesla Model 3 at 6 years. 6 years of ownership. And the car is doing pretty well so far. And this car is almost to the point of breaking the record for the longest time owned and longest number of miles driven of any car I've ever had in my entire life. The record is held by my 1971 Plymouth Valiant that I had for 6 years and 129,000 miles. And I'll show you in a minute how close we are to that. You can see my old Valiant by going onto the website www.loudmouthtim.com, home of Online Video, the longest running web series in the history of the internet. Look at episodes 74 and 75, The Ride, parts 1 and parts 2. Now, by the time I was at the end of my 6 years with my Valiant, the car was getting to be in pretty bad shape. A lot of road salt in the winters. It had gotten hit once in the front and hit once in the rear corner. And the car was in, rusted out holes in the floor, rusted out corner panels, dents and dings. But it still ran great because I had an excellent drivetrain in the car that I built myself. And I sold the car for the drivetrain and drove this old, banged up, rusted out, beat up car 2,400 miles across the country. Now, I wasn't worried about if the car would make it or not because I built the drivetrain. I knew how good it was. I was more worried about hitting a good bump and having the rear springs come through the trunk floor. It was that bad. It was really rusty. And I remember when I got there with the car, the guy looked at this thing, and you drove this across the country? Are you out of your mind? I said, well, I made it. I made it here. Yeah, that was a car. I tell you what, I'd like to have another one like that. But now a car like that is over 50 years old, and they're kind of hard to find. So, anyhow, Tesla Model 3. My car has been really good for me all these years. I've had minimal problems with it. It is still on the original set of brakes. I go through a set of tires about once a year. The battery's holding up good for me so far. It's fully off of all warranties, expressed, implied, whatever, from Tesla. Now Tesla's looking to save money, so they would be pretty tight about any warranty repair work anyhow. And I am seeing more and more news stories about electric vehicles that I either don't like or are just plain wrong. They talk about what about range anxiety? What about if you can't find a place to charge the car up? See, this wasn't a problem 6 years ago. I would take 700-mile trips, way down south and back, and I didn't have a problem 6 years ago finding a place to plug in. Now they've got so many superchargers all over the place. Some shopping centers, a lot of hotels have them. If you can't find a place to plug in your car, you're doing something really wrong. Well, you know what it is? Like anything, you can't just build EVs for the technically competent among us like myself. You have to build, and prepare for the lowest common denominators. The people out there who are so stupid, they shouldn't be driving a car in the first place, no matter what it is, gas, electric, or whatever. And these are the ones who screw things up. They think they can have full self-driving, drive everywhere and do everything, and they get into accidents, and you always hear on the news, it wasn't a car got into an accident, a Tesla got into an accident, an EV had a problem. Oh, they love to point that kind of stuff out. And a lot of these stories that the news channels are making, they're not worried about accuracy. They want the hype, the sensationalism, what is going to get more views on their story, what's going to raise their ratings so they can raise their rates for the amount of money they charge to their advertisers. It's all about making more money. That's what it comes down to in the end. Now, I hear stories about, oh, what about China-made EVs? First of all, they're China-made EVs. Do I need to go into any more reasons why you shouldn't have one than that? I've also seen videos online where they will show fields full of brand new, unsold electric vehicles in China. Why are they there? What are you doing with all these? Well, it's all about the accounting and the numbers. China builds a whole bunch of cars that may not even be complete cars, and they just park them wherever they can. Oh, we made all these cars. You know, well, did you sell them? Where are they on the road? Show me the registrations for them. You know, look over that. Look at that thing over there. Yeah, forget about this. Look at that. You know, oh, you never hear the whole story, but you know, China-made EVs, especially letting them come to America, not a good idea. I wouldn't trust them anyhow. And then you have a couple other companies like Lucid and Rivian who are trying, but they're not quite, doing too well. Tesla had a lot of problems when they were first beginning, getting production up to volume. It wasn't they couldn't build a good car. They could build a good car, but building 500,000 good cars was the problem. When the Model 3 first came out, when I got this car, they were building maybe a couple thousand a week, and now they make a whole lot more than that. So it was all the development they had to do. Elon Musk was pushing too hard, too fast for the machine that builds the machine, and the fully automated factory. And all the engineers who knew how to build a factory would tell them, no, it ain't going to work. Have people on the line, let them build a car like a normal place would. Like the car manufacturers who have been in business for 100 years have figured out what to do. Oh, no, I want to do it all high tech. He wasted a lot of time and money, screwing around with that. So, in the end, EVs, they're fine. I'm not an environmentalist freak, I'm not saying, oh, everything green, clean energy, whatever, I'm saying, hey, I think we should have more nuclear power instead of coal. More solar. Try to reduce the amount of gas generated power if we can. There's no perfect solution, and a lot of people think, well, is an EV right for me? Well, for most people, I would say, yeah. No, EVs are not right for everything. There are plenty of use cases where an EV is not the right choice. Fine. Get a gas or a diesel truck for that, no problem. But if you're just going to go 10, 20, 30 miles to work every day and go out, for a family trip on the weekend and go to the store and back and forth, then an EV will work just as well for you as a gasoline car. You just have to think and learn a little bit about the technical details of it and understand what you're dealing with and why and how it works. It's not that hard to figure out and to get a basic knowledge. And everyone's like, well, I've had gas cars all my life, so there must be something wrong with EVs. Now, you just either can't learn or don't want to learn the differences, and it's easy to compensate for. I had a charging station I built in my driveway years ago. It's still there. It works fine. Come home with a dead battery, plug it in the morning, it's filled up, ready to go. No problem. So, let me show you the mileage. I've been talking here about all kind of things. Let me show you the mileage. We are currently at 128,514 miles. Another 500 or so miles, and will tie the record set by my 1971 Plymouth Valiant. Many, many years ago. I sold that car in the summer of 2004. So it's been 20 years, just about. Oh, boy. All right, anyhow, 6 years on, my Tesla's running great for me. You know, I would get another EV. You know, one other thing about it, Pennsylvania so far has not put a special tax on registering your car, like an extra fee for EVs, because we don't buy gas and we don't pay the road use taxes that come in every gallon of gas. I love not paying that tax. I got 128,000 miles of not paying road use tax, and that makes me happy. So, if you've thought about getting an EV, you know, test drive one, go out and get one. I think it'll do fine for you. If your particular case is you need a bigger vehicle or long haul trucks or something like that, fine. Don't get one. Yeah, but for your average person just going to work and going to the store and stuff, it would do fine for you. And don't listen to all these hype stories you hear on the news about, oh, this happened, oh, that happened, oh, range anxiety, oh, no charging stations. They don't know what they're talking about. And or they're being paid to say what they're saying, because someone else is making money for it. Every EV on the road means less oil is turned into gas and sold to make the oil companies rich. They may say like, oh yeah, we want clean energy, but you know, do they really want clean energy if it means less profit for them? What if it was your money? All right then. Now, one more thing about oil companies. There is a word that they do not like. It is the 4-letter word that is not good for them. And that word is less. Less sales, less profit, less money. When Tesla was just starting out, you know, a few thousand EVs in a row was no big deal. But now that we have millions of people not buying 20 or 30 or more gallons of gas every week, that is getting to be a whole lot of less for the oil companies. And they're starting to think, well, you know, it sounds good in theory that we support clean energy and clean cars, but when we see our bank account going down, you have to stop and think, is this really the right idea? Are we really going in the right direction? So, oil companies, less. EVs, more. And so they're never going to say what they really want to say. And since oil companies are paying for the advertising to the big news stations, what kind of story do you think news stations are going to tell about EVs? Oh, EVs are terrible. You can't drive them anywhere. You can't charge them anywhere. You can't this, that, everything. Follow the money. That's what everything comes down to. Who's paying and who's getting paid? Follow the money. Okay, that's all for this episode. The Tesla's doing great, and we'll see how it does in the days, weeks, months, and years to come.